Hello everyone. Today we will discuss a very important and an interesting lecture from the history of English literature. You might have learned from your teachers or you might have read in books when you were a high school student, college or at university that there were some Germanic tribes such as Angles, Saxon and Jude. They invaded Britain in 449 and settled in different parts of Britain. This invasion did not take place in a day or in a year, but took decades. But when we study the Anglo Saxon Chronicle, which was recorded in the time of Alfred the Great when he was ruling like in the south of England, Wessex, right? So he recorded or he compiled this Anglo Saxon Chronicle, which says that there was no invasion. So here is a question that did the Anglo Saxon Chronicle hide the invasion? Was it written for a political purpose, to give an identity, to create an identity or a nationhood to this Britain, England? Or in reality there was no invasion? Because when we refer to the Anglo Saxon Chronicle, so we know that there was migration from from Denmark, right, and from Germany, what is now Germany today, right, from France. And these settlers, they settled in different parts of Britain and they were invited. Okay, not all of them. Some of the soldiers were invited to defend Britain against the Picts, who were living in the north of Britain, what is now today Scotland. So we will uncover this story today, whether there was invasion or not, there was migration. So we will refer to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Let's start and learn today's this interesting lecture. Here you can see a picture. Okay, this is a created one, right? Now, the Chronicle tells a peaceful start of England. So what is a peaceful start? Migration, no invasion. When we refer to the Chronicle, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, as we talked about here, right? This one, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. So we know that there was a peaceful start, not the start like a movie or like a film. Okay, we see in different books that was taught to us when we were the students of BS or MA English, or when we were students of high school, right? So it was taught to us that there was invasion in 449. But when we refer to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, we come to know that there was no invasion. There was a peaceful start. And these soldiers, Germanic tribes, they were invited to defend the Britain against the Picts. And later on, they settled in Britain. And they also invited their families, okay, and there were a lot number of these tribes who were living in Britain. So there was a peaceful start. Right? So Germanic warriors invited by the Britons to fight the Picts. Fine. And then more settlers came to Britain and they settled there. And then what happened later on, that kingdoms rose when more settlers from these Germanic tribes, they arrived to Britain. Then what happened? There was conflict between these Anglo-Saxons and the native people of Britain, which were Celtic people, right? Now you can see this map which shows invasion of England, but actually that according to this Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, there was no invasion. So again, here is a question that is raised, that did the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle hide the invasion? Was there any invasion or there was no invasion? Was this chronicle recorded? It was written in the time of Alfred the Great to give a sense of unity, identity, nationhood to England. So, was it written for a purpose, or in fact there was no invasion? It's just a big question, right? Now, next. So, Saxon migration, that is in 5th century, according to Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. This is a picture. Now, here the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle are window to the early history, but what if it never actually describe an invasion? This is the question, right? Because we do not find any invasion in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Now, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle is often viewed as an early record of English history, but it doesn't describe a dramatic invasion as we hear, we see in movies, sometimes also in books. Okay, there were some Germanic tribes, and they had weapons, they attacked Britain, they defeated Britain, and they settled here. So we do not find such kind of invasion in Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Rather, it says migration. Instead, it presents a legendary migration story shaped by political motives in the 9th century, especially during King Alfred's the reign. So during when King Alfred he was ruling over England, the south part of England, that was Wessex. So in his time, okay, this Anglo-Saxon Chronicle was recorded. It was compiled. So modern historians like Nicholas Haggams and Francis Prayers and Ian Wood argue that what the chronicle reflects myth making, identity buildings, not factual history. So there is question, what if it is a myth and making an identity building? Okay, because there were Danish invasion in Alfred the Great time, and he wanted to see the different parts of Britain unite. Right, so maybe for a purpose, for a political purpose, to give a sense of unity to the people of Britain. So he composed and he compiled in his time. This Anglo-Saxon Chronicle was compiled. So modern historian like Nicholas Haggam and we have Francis Pryor and Ian Wood argue that the chronicle reflects myth making, the identity building, not factual history. So archaeological and textual evidence supports the idea of gradual settlement, not a mass military invasion. So according to archaeological and textual, according to this evidence, there was no invasion. And there was settlement, right? And the settlement took place gradually, not abruptly. So if there was gradual, so it means there was no invasion. Gradually, these people who were coming from the north part of Europe, like from Germany, from Denmark, okay, from Norway, and they settled in different parts of Britain. Now, the myth begins where the chronicle tells of a peaceful start. Fine, and Germanic warriors invited by the Britons to fight the Picts because the Britons were in trouble. And when the Roman soldiers, right, the Roman soldiers went out from the Britain, or the Roman Empire withdrew their soldiers from the Britain. So what happened that from the northern part of England, what is now Scotland, the people who were living there, they were called Picts. They attacked. They were fierce people, fair tribes were there. And these fair tribes attacked the Briton. So to defend themselves, the Britons requested and invited soldiers from Germany, right, from these northern parts of the Europe, like from Denmark, Germany, okay, these countries are now, and the conflict followed, and then kingdom rose. Where? In Britain. Fine. So this is okay, that what Anglo-Saxon Chronicle says. But wait, is that history? Is a question again. Now, compiled under King Alfred the 9th century, because he was ruling the England, Wessex in the 9th century. So the chronicle wasn't just a record, it was a tool, right? So Alfred needed unity among warring tribes and enter the Anglo-Saxon identity. And he gave this identity to Anglo-Saxon, and he wanted to have a rich heritage of the Briton. Right? There should be some historical background of the Briton. So he, you see, promoted education, you see, literacy. He did a lot of work in his reign. So they say, critics say that this Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which was compiled under the King Alfred the Great time in the 9th century, the chronicle wasn't just a record, it was a tool. A tool of what? To give a sense of unity and to to make a peaceful and like harmony within the Britain. So Alfred needed unity among warring tribes and entered the Anglo-Saxon identity. So here the history of the Britain begins. So a great and a big question is there, that was it created? Was it compiled for a purpose? Because we know that history is written from the mouth of the ruler, right? So King Alfred, he was ruling the England. He was a very powerful king. So might be that from his mouth we know that there was a peaceful start of the Britain, right? So this was the question. You can see in this picture that Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, and in the time of King Alfred the Great, it was compiled. Now, a political brain. History says that for a political purpose, this Anglo-Saxon Chronicle was recorded, compiled. So the words Anglo-Saxon stamp onto the screen like a propaganda. So the term Anglo-Saxon did not exist before the compilation of this Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. This name was given to them in the time of Alfred the Great, King Alfred the Great. So the royal scribe pen sticks under touchlight. So the people or the scholars were written. They given this name Anglo-Saxon that time. The term Anglo-Saxon likely took shape under Alfred the Great time. It wasn't used in the 5th century. It was a 9th century political brand. So this Anglo-Saxon, it is a political brain which was invented in the 9th century, not in the 5th century, because in the 5th century there was no such name as Anglo-Saxon. It was invented in the 9th century in the time of King Alfred the Great.